Good afternoon. I have two very hard acts to follow. Diarmuid did a real whirlwind. I'm usually the person who does the whirlwind in the 5 minutes, and Shane did a very good follow-on. And in thinking about what I was going to do for today, I decided I wouldn't do my usual 5 minutes, but I will try and do it in 10. I'm conscious it's 4:30 on a Friday afternoon. We've had a wonderful day here. I'm just looking at a former CEO of HECA, Seamus there. And Seamus usually began by saying, I don't do PowerPoints. But he's obviously justified. I decided last night I wouldn't do a PowerPoint. I recently read Steve Jobs' biography, and he never did PowerPoints. Now, he had a very different reason. He didn't like the design of the software available. But I guess if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. So we're following in good footsteps, Seamus, in that regard. If we look at the conference themes today, and when I reflected on them, we have internationalisation and employability. I suppose I was struck by the broadness of the topics, and I also wondered at maybe what were the links between them. I think each on their own would provide the basis of a full conference. And I suppose the diversity of both topics was reflected in the diversity of the presentations we had today. So in the context of internationalisation, we had the view, I suppose, that HETAC takes in terms of how we operate, but we also had the view from the HEA, which is internationalisation going the other direction, if you like. We've also two topics today which in their breadth, I suppose, are central to wider debate in today's society. In today's economic climate, employability is more than just about getting a job, and we heard that from Kevin. It's about being employable, which means having the attributes and skills which will help you to get a job, to succeed in your job, and to change in your job. And we're all in that space, and you're in that space very much when we look at the two topics today. Internationalisation, it's about you embracing that and how you embrace it. The employability agenda is equally challenging. But employability is basically about the capacity of the individual to function in a work environment and in a changing work environment. The importance of employability is summed up well in the following quotation. To be employed is to be at risk, but to be employable is to be secure. And that's from a book called The Art of Building Windmills by Peter Hawkins. What are the skills and attributes needed to be employable? Academic achievement is perhaps one aspect of this, and that was addressed, and people asked Kevin, what do they look for in graduates or in employees? Employers want enthusiastic, confident individuals with people skills, generalist skills, self-reliance skills, and specialist skills, an ability to change, an ability to learn and grow, and to continually repeat that cycle. The learning outcomes which form the basis of the National Framework of Qualifications, which you all deal with, I think make provision for the incorporation of all of these skills within your programmes. But as we heard earlier, the education agenda perhaps should not serve industry agenda, and we have to bear in mind always that education is about the individual and about society. That was raised in an earlier discussion today, and I think the speaker was surprised that nobody took him up on it. But I think we can actually meet the needs of both, but I think we shouldn't lose the importance of education, or if you like, and I suppose it's it's where we come from in terms of education. But the employment agenda will change, the international agenda will change. So I think we need always to retain that kind of hard academic or the traditional core of education. But there is scope within the programme structures available in the higher education sector to provide top quality programmes that are broad in their own orientation and satisfy both the traditional agenda and the new and more immediate employability agenda. And as I said earlier, they are not mutually exclusive. The term internationalisation has different meanings in different contexts, but from the perspective of HETAC, soon to be QQAI, internationalisation has a very specific meaning, and it refers to the provision of education services to international students, and in particular those from outside the EU and the EAA. Two aspects of this, and we heard about them also earlier, are the code of practice and guidelines, and the quality mark, which is soon to be introduced. But both of these really depend on good quality and robust systems within your own institutions. And I think what is important is that the code and guidelines for international students, and when we talk about the quality mark, it's really about quality provision in higher education. We shouldn't have two standards, or we shouldn't need to do extra really for the international students. The requirements of our own students are equally important. They need transparency, they need information, they need facilities around fee refunds. Now, obviously, there's some additions, but I think Sarah Moore, in her conversation this morning, or in her discussion this morning, mentioned that all of their students, irrespective of their where they come from, whether they're on the brighter end of the spectrum or whether they have lower points, they all have needs that have to be met. And by providing the extras, those that need the systems most probably benefit greater from them. But I think the issue is we're really looking at quality assurance, and I think the international agenda are assuming that you need to make extra efforts there. Isn't probably very wise. I think we should all be striving for just the best quality possible. I'm very mixed up now in what I was going to say to you, but I suppose at the end of today, and actually I'm doing better than Shane, I suppose what I would like to do, I would like to commend HECA for an absolutely wonderful day. I was in two minds about coming down, and Bid very kindly asked me to present, and I was delighted to be invited. It's a very, very busy time, and a lot of you engage with me on a daily basis, and I was wondering, was it a good idea to take time out? So in other words, if I took time out, did that mean I'd double the calls on Monday from Tomas and Jerry and so on and so forth? But I would have to say, honestly, it has been a lovely conference. I think the speakers that he chose today, just the breadth and the range of the input, there was a huge amount of learning. But the whole atmosphere here today and the engagement, it was a lovely day, and it was lovely for me to come and to be able to just stand up at the end of the day. To the conference organisers, I have been at their side. I think you deserve great credit. When things go well, nobody sees the difficulties or the amount of work that you put into it. It's when things fall off the cliff that people realise that there was a lot done. But there was no sign of any of the effort or the work or the planning that has gone into this day, which has truly been wonderful, I think, and I think great credit through to all of the organisers. And I suppose finally, in a changing context, we have been threatening, we as in HETAC staff have been threatening for a number of years that soon will be QQAI, but I think it's genuinely on the horizon now. And I think that when your next conference is organised, we will be under a different guise. You have contributed a huge amount to provision of education in the country. You have a lot more to offer. None of you can stand still, but nobody can stand still in this society. I think we all learn from our mistakes, and we try to do the best we can going forward and just embrace change. So good luck to all of you as you go into the new future, and our engagement with you obviously in that new future will be very different. So thank you very much.